What's up, everybody? I'm up in long COVID. Today we're going to talk about herpes virus. So when I say the word herpes, what most of you immediately go to is the sexually transmitted disease. And that is true. That is a herpes virus. But at a broader level, herpes viruses refer to a whole family of DNA-based viruses. And what that means is once you are infected with the herpes virus, the virus embeds itself within your nerve cells or within other tissues, and it lies dormant. When your immune system gets suppressed enough, then that virus cell activates. And when it activates, then you start to experience the symptoms of whatever that virus is. So imagine if you have oral herpes, you're walking around, it's embedded in your cells all day long, your immune system gets suppressed, and then you get kind of breakouts of cold sores or whatever else, which then you have to treat symptomatically to reduce the risk of that. Now, long COVID is a coronavirus. It is a different family of viruses. And so treating herpes virus doesn't necessarily directly correlate to reducing the viral load of a coronavirus. However, there are benefits. Now recognize once you have a herpes virus, it never goes away. It stays in your body for forever. And there's tons and tons of different viruses that would be in the herpes virus family. Chickenpox. If you ever had chickenpox, that's a herpes virus. You ever had shingles? You ever had Epstein's-Barr? All of these are herpes viruses. And so it's estimated that at any given time, all of us have anywhere from 8 to 12 herpes viruses lying dormant in our cells that could activate at any time. Now, what happens is when you have long COVID, obviously your immune system is working diligently to try to fight that off. So it is by definition suppressed. And then when symptomatically things arise from long COVID, it continues to suppress your immune system. And so therefore the chances of a herpes virus activating go way, way, way up. And then once it activates and you start showing symptoms, now you're diverting immune system resources from fighting long COVID to fighting the symptoms of the herpes virus. In addition, generally speaking, when a herpes virus activates, inflammation goes up in your body. We're already worried about inflammation. We're already doing what we can to kind of reduce that. So this is an extra pain in the ass that we just don't need. And so one of the things that we want to do from a symptomatic perspective is reduce the risk of a herpes virus activating. So how do you do that? Well, the bad news is there is no cure. I mean, we know this. I wish there was, there's not. But because it manifests itself in so many different forms, there's a lot of scientific knowledge on how to treat these things and a lot of vaccines. And so one of the things that I am doing for herpes viruses is taking Valtrex. And so if you have the STD that is herpes, there are two drugs that we know can help kind of reduce the viral load and reduce the risk of outbreaks. One is valcyclovir and one is acyclovir. Valcyclovir, the brand name is Valtrex. That's the particular one that I am taking. Now, one of the breaking studies on the use of valcyclovir to treat long COVID, they actually combined it with another drug called Celebrex. And so the combination of the two, based on the results of that particular study, worked better than taking valcyclovir alone. In that particular study, they took 750 milligrams of valcyclovir and 200 milligrams of Celebrex daily. Twice daily. So in total, they're taking 750 milligrams of valcyclovir twice. I am taking 800 milligrams of valcyclovir twice a day. So slightly more, but I'm not taking it with the Celebrex. One of the things that I have noticed is, it's kind of hard to say, right? Because, hey, guess what? Chickenpox didn't reemerge while I was taking valcyclovir. But I will say net, I am feeling, generally speaking, I'm feeling better, which is an indication. And I know what my current antibody load is, which is 8,841. And so my guess is that when I measure that again, hopefully that number's gone down. And I've got to assume that in some level it's due to, taking valcyclovir. Now there are some side effects to it, nothing major. One of the biggest problems that people have is GI symptoms. For me, obviously, I've been hospitalized multiple times because of my GI. I had my sigmoid colon removed. So GI issues are a big deal for me. I have not noticed that particular symptom for me, but I know that it is something that people have said to be aware of. Other than that, there doesn't seem to be any big downsides or contraindications to taking the valcyclovir. So there's no reason not to do it. What I may do, I am thinking about trying to combine it with the Celebrex, or combining it with, or doing a third dose every day. The problem with the third dose every day is just remembering to do it. I typically have the drugs I take first thing in the morning and then some drugs I take later in the day. But there's nothing I'm taking 3 times a day right now. So I just require one extra thing for me to do. To that end, sort of in this milieu of using antiviral drugs to try to reduce long COVID, even if they're not coronavirus specific. One of the other things that people have said that they've gotten benefit from is getting the HPV vaccine. And so the downside of the HPV vaccine is that your doctor won't prescribe it to you unless you're under 45. I am over 45, and so that means I would have to pay for it out of pocket. It's about $1,300 to get all 3 shots. So the question is, would you trade $1,300 if you knew it worked? Fuck yeah, you would. Would you trade $1,300 on the possibility that it might work? Yeah, you might. What's the probability? If it's 80%, hell yeah. If it's 10%, then it's a risk. I have not done it as of yet. I do know one of my friends who has long COVID, she did do it. She is over the age of 45, and she said that she did see some noticeable results. Nothing spectacular, but she did say it seemed to sort of ease, kind of tone down a couple of the symptoms. So I may try that. I may not. Stay tuned on that. I will say, while I am not an anti-vaxxer or a conspiracy theorist, I am cognizant that there is a greater than 0 chance that my issues that I am having with long COVID are related to the vaccine rather than continuous exposure to the disease itself. And without trying to decide which is right, I kind of don't care. It is what it is. But I am a little bit more just kind of aware of risks associated with vaccines. Now, obviously, some vaccines are more tested than others. I believe the HPV vaccine to be relatively benign, so it may be worth doing. I just haven't done it yet. So stay tuned. Key takeaways, antiviral drugs, even if they're not directly aligned against the coronavirus family, can be helpful. And they have relatively low risk, low side effects, so there's no downside in doing it, other than the fact that you got a giant jug of herpes medicine sitting on your counter. And so when you have dinner guests over, they're looking at it going like, hey man, what the hell is going on with you? But other than that, there seems to be no reason in my mind to not do it. And so, my plan is to continue with the Valtrex or the valcyclovir for at least, the next few months as I continue to try to sledgehammer this thing into submission. So with that, let's keep kicking along COVID's ass, and I'll chat with you later. Bye.